Hello, Wastelanders, and welcome back to the next episode in our Purist campaign for the Enclave. Of course, we're now the United States of America, and we are just continuing to go through all the fun, very fun lore stuff with the bases and the vaults and everything, while we take out a few factions at a time until there probably will be just one left before we know it. So, let's get to our decision tab and see where we're at. We should have some bases in progress there. Yes, we do. We got a handful. Reclaim America. We have a Reclaim America one. Let's do that. Mutant National Guard. That'll take 10 days. And then down here to some vaults. Let's do some vaults, shall we? Vault 57. Rest near the remains of Rapid City, which is right here. Rapid City, I believe, is in South Dakota, right? Or is it, yeah, South Dakota, I believe. Let's do Vault 57. The collapse of Vault 57. As Enclave forces broke open the decayed exterior of the vault, they were met with a simple lobby surrounded by skeletons, decayed, torn, and destroyed vault suits on them. It seemed that a good majority of them had been trying to force their way out, indicated by the many various tools and makeshift axes and pickaxes, along with the multiple and varied dents differing on just how deep. From further investigation, it seemed that life support had shut off. Otherwise, though, the vault seemed good for habitation. In the center of the vault, there was a large chamber containing what had been a significant chunk of the vault's population. From recovered data terminals and physical reports, it seemed that this had been paired with another vault, specifically Vault 56. They were testing the significance of firearms against the significance of basic survival tools within the grand scheme of survival in the wildlife. Makes sense. Vault 56 was in North Dakota. All right. Have I done a Vault 56? I think I already had. Right? Yeah, right outside Bismarck. I thought so. Vault 61 rests near the remains of Huntsville. Where is Huntsville? Oh, we have two Huntsvilles. All right, Texas, I presume, is the one that we are Vault 61 is. Vault 61. Our entrance into Vault 61 was not welcoming. As our troops broke open the decayed exterior of the vault, they were met with a simple lobby surrounded by Whoa. That's the exact same story that 57 had. Oh, well, not exactly. Okay, it's a little different. All right, so the vault dwellers were trying to get out. From further investigation, it seemed the life support had shut off, but that hasn't stopped flora from infesting the vault, turning in what appears to be a forest almost. But still, in the center is a significant chunk of the population. But the same weapons versus basic survival tools. Interesting. So a very similar text there between 57 and 61. What about Vault 68, near the remains of Dallas, right here? Since returning Houston to give our soldiers a break from clearing out what was left of the God-forsaken defenders, they've been put to the task of finding and securing Vault 68. This has not been an easy task, as apparently what is left of the so-called Houston Rockets has taken shelter in an old vault, buried in the old USSA Space Center, which is both unfortunate and fortunate for us. Considering its location, it should hopefully have lots of information on space travel. We can maybe even one day restart the space program for our future citizens. Currently, we are trying to get inside. We just need to find the darn command code to open it up. Well, okay, so it said Vault 68 was outside Dallas, but it mentioned the rocket, so I wonder if the text meant to say outside Houston. I feel like that would make a little more sense for what it is. In the meantime,
everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
I am ready to finish off these broken coast jokers. I don't know if we have enough cargo planes to do it yet or not. I guess we'll find out. here in a second. Yeah, this order cannot be executed. Not even some of them. It'll be all right. We'll get there. We have 150 factories on some transport vertibirds, so eventually we'll get that figured out. All right, the Navarro barracks focus was completed. That's right, local population of plus 2,000. Let's see, what else do we need to do to get a new capital? We have to have Congressional Forum and Justice Department. We can't do Congressional Forum unless we complete the Focus Silence Congress. Okay, we can't do until we do extended presidential powers. So, all right, so this is gonna bite me in the butt again. I can't do extend presidential powers unless we have an estimated enemy strength ratio of 75% or more. So, unfortunately, since we didn't do this way back then, where we had enemies that were probably 75%, that's really cut us out of some focuses. There was some other stuff I was unable to do because of that. So that, if that's the case, that kind of sucks. That's gonna block me from being able to do a new capital, and these Navarro Vault things and stuff. Oh man, Western White House. I would love to be able to do that. I find that most frustrating that that's totally blocked out because of that. All right. All right. What is this one? Cold War. We've avenged our fallen at Navarro and Arroyo and stormed through Portland and Seattle. The treasure of Cascadia belongs to American hands once more. So I guess we wouldn't have been able to do that one until we took all of the American west and northwest coast. So that could be interesting.
This is Enclave main comm.
Oh, well, we did cargo plane, but we don't need that. You know what? I can actually do 2 whole factory lines here. That'll really get it up quick. I mean, it doesn't really matter because I just have so many materials and so many factories. It doesn't really matter, which is pretty cool. Fixing the issue. While the central chamber had no issues regarding life support, due to the flourishing wildlife and plant life, everywhere else in the vault most certainly did. All the stem from one of the reactors had apparently been severely damaged, causing radiation to flow like a river into the vault's lower levels. Slaves were sent to deal with the issues of the reactor, while Enclave engineers in hazmat suits were escorted to figure out what was going on with the life support. While it did take a while, along with supervision and guidance for the slaves on how to fix the reactor, they were able to fix the issues and get the vault ready for reconstruction. Good to hear. The last patrol. Mr. President, I am happy to inform you that we've managed to eradicate the last of the mutated remnants of the Oklahoma National Guard. There's probably a few of them still holding out somewhere, but regardless, the idea of ghouls walking around in pre-war uniforms of the U.S. Army will not embarrass you or your administration. What's more, we've managed to discover a treasure trove of experience and data regarding warfare in the Midwest, which will surely help us as we move forward to link up with the elements in Chicago. Okay, oh look, ghouls serve a purpose. Add last patrol data, which grants 0.05 daily Army XP. Not really particularly needed, but still cool. I guess we can search for the caches, why not? Doesn't hurt. All they do is give you stuff. We don't need it, but we'll search it. We'll search it anyway. Maybe it'll be good for some focuses that we don't know yet.
Who the hell is this?
I do have an
The
army group that that's not
look.
doing anything. I guess you could go up here, front line this. Gonna be a long time, a long way for them to
Why is
train
your
up here,
video
but
feed working?
still. Cold War, Cascadia brought down. I remember growing up on the stories of the pristine Northwest Commonwealth, or Cascadia in certain parlance. Its roving green trees, welcoming small towns, and vibrant city life. Now, what has the mutant menace done with the green jewel of the Northwest? Turned it into a land of terror, cannibalism, and anarchy. Super mutants roam the forest like trolls of yore. Cannibals stalk in the dead of night. And if that wasn't enough, the Brotherhood in Washington is so bad that some of them broke off to try and resist them. Imagine being so bad that your own faction breaks off to oppose you. Regardless, I've ordered the Army and Air Corps to begin a systematic extermination campaign to root out this evil, so that all may partake in the joy and pleasure of the Northwest. As I speak, bombers are already lifting off, and Army units are being deployed. We will civilize Cascadia. That moves the House divided 10% towards President Anderson. All kind of a moot point. I've already done it. But now this does honor unto Richardson. It's a long focus, 40 days. Let me make it perfectly clear to Chicago who the president is. President Franklin Anderson. Oh, well maybe this will close it off. Let's do it. Heck yeah. Now, is this thing supposed to tell me how many air wings I need in order to do this liftoff? It's on air supply. I don't think for maybe if I reset the airdrop, it'll tell me how many. I think I was way short, so anyway. All right, air base at Klamath Falls. Kingsley Field Air Force Base has been a storied history, though not all it great. Originally a naval air station, it served in this role throughout World War II before being turned over to the Air Force as Kingsley Field, and then further subdivided into a civilian airport. However, in the 2060s, a subversive activist in the Oregon Air National Guard stole several fighter jets and used them to bomb transports headed for Alaska, setting our liberation of Alaska back months. In a scathing review, it was discovered that much of Oregon was given over to subversive communist activities, and the state was locked down as this cancer was eradicated. By the times the bomb fell, this was ongoing. Post-war, the base saw little use as much of the wasteland outside California and Texas had no real need for an Air Force, let alone the understanding of one. The Air Force has restored it to working order, however, and is ready to bring the fight to Washington. Oregon. Oregon is weird. So that would be Klamath. There you go. Trapper Town has just showed up on the map. Old Trapper Town. Montana Enclave. MacArthur Air Force Base in the pre-war era served alongside Mountain Home as the fighter net meant to shield the United States from Chinese airstrikes against the lower 48, with a secondary mission of operating against communist Canadian terrorists that resisted American liberation. Of course, its story post-war is just as important, with Colonel, now General, Santiago restoring the base to working order and ensuring the continuation of the American dream in the Northern Commonwealth, and providing assistance to Chicago. Now back in America's ready hands, the base is ready to return to operations against those who would threaten America. Damn fine job, Santiago. So that's cool. They integrated Santiago from MacArthur, who of course is now with us, into that little story. Alright, so we got 3 vaults going. Where are we at bases? We have 3 that are about to pop in 10 days, but honestly, we can probably do some more. Let's hit some more. Whoa, that one finished instantly. Impact Zone. The Air Force has been eager to get Nellis Air Force Base up and running ever since we returned to the area. The convoy heading towards the base, however, was stopped by a fellow named George who said that the boomers, the ones who occupy the base, would fire their artillery and heavy ordnance at anyone on sight, and that our convoy would be outright destroyed. So that would be Vegas. Vegas. If I can find you on the map, my goodness, here we go. Nellis Air Force Base. Erring on the side of caution, the convoy commander sent a few dismounts forward, and those dismounts came running back after a series of artillery strikes impacted outside the base. They were lucky to escape with their lives. We're at a bit of an impasse now as the Air Force, with Army reinforcements, can't close on the base without fear of being shelled. Scouts moving at night report that the base is mostly intact, and the Air Force doesn't want to destroy something that is still standing. However, those boomers occupying the base are packing some heavy weapons, with everything from grenade launchers, rocket launchers, and even a few M42s. Do they have anti-air? Ooh, operation will commence in 8 days. Cool. One problem after another. While the central chamber had no issues regarding life support, due in large part to the flourishing wildlife and plant life, everywhere else in the vault most certainly did. Much of it was filled with radiation or was caved in. Additionally, one of the reactors had apparently been severely damaged, causing radiation to flow like a river in the vault. Slaves were sent to deal with the issues of the reactor, while Enclave engineers in hazmat suits were escorted to figure out what was going on with the life support. While it did take a while, along with some supervision and guidance for the slaves, they were able to fix the issues. So, again, that was kind of a repeat. So, two of those vaults are very similar verbiage there. Go figure.
But everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
There we go. Just waiting for something to pop. Nellis Massacre. Army recon teams and Air Force JTACs monitored the boomers' position for a week, marking down where fortifications were, as well as sleeping quarters. Every position was checked and double-checked, and Air Force pilots trained in VR pods to get the attack right. Outside the base, Army assault teams checked their weapons and armor. When the explosions started, they would move in via a northeast route and use explosive charges to breach the gate. By nightfall, the boomers were in the middle of changing shift when fighters came screaming out of the sky and dropping ordnance and strafing the barracks. Their precious artillery pieces were destroyed in moments, and those left standing were cut down in strafing runs. Army units breached the perimeter fence and flooded in. Any individual with a weapon was considered hostile, and horrifically, that included women, elderly, and children. While the officers in charge as well as the soldiers testified in an inquiry that every member of the boomers was armed and hostile, the Nellis Massacre would be compared to the NCR Bitter Springs Massacre for decades to come. Well, we got the base back. I guess that's what matters, right? We got the base. Dear goodness. Alright, we have some Air Force bases done. California's Defense Force. Located in Marin County, California, Hamilton Air Force Base served as the home to the 72nd and 222nd Wings of the Air Force's Aerospace Defense Command, who used the base's position to intercept any possible nuclear attack on the Northwest and Southwest Commonwealths. with training taken near 24/7 to ensure that the base's personnel were ready for interception operations at a moment's notice. Training that would quickly be rendered useless when the bombs fell. Post-war, the base's facilities would be turned into an army post by the NCR. The post was used as a mechanized army base under General Alexander Drummond. With the former NCR Army components and tents removed, we have restored Hamilton back into an Air Force base, allowing the Air Force to once more defend American airspace. Another California Air Force base? Really? Gives a boost to 8th generation air attack. This VP was removed to avoid clutter. Curse you, U.S. military. Wow, nice little funny behind the scenes. Ooh, Larson, this is a big one. Let me get a little sip of coffee here. Located northwest of Moses Lake, Washington, Larson Air Force Base was one of 3 Air Force bases in Washington State. Under Air Materiel Command, Air Mobility Command, Aerospace Defense Command, Continental Air Command, Air Combat Command, and Strategic Air Command. My goodness. Larson was considered by the Air Force as an all-purpose Air Force base. Although it was primarily used by Air Mobility Command, Aerospace Defense Command, and Strategic Air Command. Air Mobility Command utilized the installation as a means to refuel from the air any planes coming or going to and from the West Coast, while Aerospace Command used the installation as a means to conduct patrols over the Northwest Commonwealth. Lastly, of the primary users, Strategic Air Command had a long history of using the installation as a strategic bomber base to counter China and any other threats. Larson even under consideration for having a series of silo fields built for Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles to cow China into surrendering in early October of 2077, plans that would be ended with the onslaught of the Great War. Due to being extensively used by the Air Force to conduct missions against China in the Pacific and Alaska, Larson would ultimately be targeted when the bombs fell. The installations being hit several times by direct nuclear strikes from Chinese nukes, leaving the base severely damaged in the aftermath. In the post-war era, Larson would come under the control of the Old Country, which was a nation of ghouls from Vault 100. The ghoulified vault dwellers used Larson as a means to fly biplanes and rotary aircraft left at Larson over the former state of Washington, even using them to conduct logistics missions at the behest of their leader. With the ghouls removed from the Air Force Base, we have restored Larson Air Base back to active duty. Yeah, I think we're good on nuclear bases, thanks. Hill of God. A vital component of Air Force Materiel Command, with the weapons produced at Dugway and Toole, Hill Air Force Base was tasked with moving them out to either be deployed or moved to more secured storage out east. Despite this, the base was overlooked by Chinese nukes, possibly as they were too focused on Salt Lake City or Dugway. Regardless, the base served as a main base for the small New Canaan Air Corps, protecting the Mormon skies, or at least trying to anyway. Much like Fort Douglas, the base is in remarkably good condition thanks to the efforts of New Canaan, and the Air Force is ready to begin supply operations for missions in the north and east. Fly, Eagles, fly! Alright. Should we attack something? I feel like we haven't attacked anything, and that might be nice. Well, look at us. We actually are really working down the Air Force bases, and then after that, it's mostly Marine Corps bases, though I imagine there's still a lot of property here that is not taken. I wonder how many bases and vaults will be in Canada. Probably not too many, I would think, but time will tell. But I assume by taking Nebraska, and let's see, a lot of this is Colorado and Denver. There's definitely going to be some bases and vaults in here, I would think. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and start some smackdowns, shall we? So, the United Wallers of Nebraska, it's time to meet your makers, boys and girls. So, let's begin our attack.
Enclave here.
Should be pretty easy if we're being honest. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot they can do about it. Oh, conflict at Vault 68. Our forces poured into the vault, where we saw the sacred mutant defenders had put up meager defenses for our forces to fight against. At first, to weaken them, sent in some mutant volunteers, who quickly went in after we strapped on the bomb collars. Oh, dear Lord. When they got close enough, we detonated the collars, killing both sides of the mutants, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After we sent in a clearing team, armed with flamers and plasma Winchesters, to make sure everyone that was dead stayed dead, our scientists were sent in to get to work. For now, the vault is secure, and we begin. Life! The central part of the vault worked, I don't know which one we're talking about, worked excellently for human habitation, with much of the rest of the vault needing to be scrubbed of radiation. Slaves were given tools and told to work. They worked until they collapsed, and some died, but it was of no consequences, as more were brought in. In the end, however, habitation was properly set up, and the vault's central atrium with its apparent nature preserve even adds some character to the vault itself. Some of our scientists were curious if the plants absorbed radiation or had unique properties, but no, they were normal under any other circumstances. A few of the plants were sent to other vaults, with some of the more decorative plants sent here to Navarro. Good, I need some color in my life. Yep, call your little friends. It makes no difference to me. Because we have already broken through their river bridgeheads, and at this point, they will be absolutely exterminated. Delays in the Dakotas. Our work on Vault 57 has somewhat delayed, but nothing to be too worried about. Let's see. They worked until they died, the slaves did. Those who didn't die were then drugged a 3rd time. And any of them survived a 3rd collapse, well, 3 strikes, you're out. Besides the livestock to be used to further humanity's goal of reclaiming their Earth, our engineers have managed to get the reactor under control. Good. Get those vaults ready for true human habitation, please. And our forces are just absolutely pouring over.
Man, the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
Oh, do I have to put them in the air to do this? Gosh dang it, I can't remember the... That just says air supply. Port strike logistics. I think all they have to do is just be there.
This is Enclave main
does
com.
it. Oh, there it goes. An additional 6 transport wings are required. That's all right. We're gonna be pumping them out. See, look at that. Looks like there's 2 already ready to go. Oh, the fighters got pushed over here. Gotcha. Vault 61 opening day. Vault 61 opened its doors today as it welcomed its new residents, as well as personally greeted by the president himself. While the vault itself will, of course, create goods and materials for the war effort, Vault 61 has been given a special status of creating flora for other vaults across the continent, something that every resident of the vault was especially picked for. The president himself planted the first of a new generation of flora for future use, and the area has been marked off as a National Heritage Site. To alleviate fears of allergies, the president assured that the vault was fitted with the latest air filters, and that Vault 61 was overstocked with additional replacements for such an endeavor. Vault 61 will do good. Vault 61 is free. Or completed. And here we go, restoration of Vault 68. Our engineers have been hard at work looking through the vault archives and seeing what they can find. According to old logs, this one's not complete, sorry, this one's still in process. The vault's former population was filled with 999 men and only 1 woman. Oh my lord. Our scientists quickly deduced they must have had only 2 generations before the vault was quickly abandoned due to the lack of genetic and gender diversity, and most of the former Vault dwellers integrated with the local factions of the area, such as the Lone Star, the Houston Rockets, and the Texan Brotherhood. Seems we did them a favor with them abandoning their home like that willingly. Regardless, the Vault was occupied occasionally over the years, though mostly left to rot, with our teams having trouble having to essentially restore entire sections of the Vault. That is one heck of an experiment. That would be a tough one, huh? That would be not great. We got some traders. Don't really care about that.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Alright, we've got a nice little encirclement of 8 divisions. Wow. Basically instantly evaporated those 8 divisions. They're so small. I mean, those 8 divisions only had 1,000 men. Looks like they have a lot of robots. That's probably why the manpower isn't necessarily showing up there. Opening day of Vault 57. The president visited Vault 57 as it welcomed its new batch of citizens across America. 57 placed a host to a large atrium where the president and the overseer planted a special tree that will grow and take root just as America is now. Before leaving, the president reaffirmed America's commitment to keeping mankind and the country safe, and that so long as this tree of liberty draws life, America will survive. You know what? We are at war. I'm going to assume, yeah, we are definitely not at 75% military difference in order to get that. That's okay. I didn't think so. Oh, wait. Cargo plane, cargo plane. Yeah, of course, we have fighters. All right. Cargo, cargo, cargo. Yeah, we're making about 6 a day, so we're going to be getting that pretty quick. Okay. Where are we? Here we are. Do we have any bases about to hit? Not super close. I could probably get some more in the pipeline. Reopening of Vault 68. So after more work, our scientists and engineers have converted most of the vault into usable and living grounds for our future populations to grow and thrive in. Not to mention, we have gotten tons of information from what was in the vault. It seems we learned what with such cramped spaces can be due to genetic diversity and how it can affect populations. That information can do us wonders considering what we are doing. Not to mention the closeness of NASA's hub, we can certainly use that information in our air research, and maybe even one day, space developments. Okay, so 3 more vaults down. Looks like we got more to do.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Lots more to do.
Enclave here.
Alright, we've defeated the flawed parish.
Who the hell is this?
We need to set up a new front line here.
Enclave here.
Set up a new front line for you too. Shoot, we'll just put you on the whole gosh darn thing. Not a whole lot of micromanaging needs to happen on this one, to say the least.
This is Enclave Maincom.
Why did you...
Enclave here.
There you go. Sometimes they can do weird stuff.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Hit the last redoubt. See if that faction caves or not. Probably gonna have to take some more land in order for that to happen.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
What you could probably do is just
Enclave here.
send these guys to their cities, and I bet they crack. Oh, last redoubt. Oh, we've picked up a couple more vaults, I see. I thought 68 was done. Didn't we do 68? Still says 2 days. Okay. Honor unto Richardson. A meeting with Chicago. To say Anderson's gamble paid off was an understatement. In just a few short years, he had taken the disparate survivors of the rig, his troops from Bloomfield, and the more intelligent mercenaries of that idiot Granite, and molded them into the most powerful force in the wasteland. Even as he sipped from his glass on Marine One, the armies of the Enclave were marching east, cleansing the land of the mutant. He had done even what Richardson had failed to do, and what Chicago could only dream of. With every hovel cleared, the American flag was raised. With every settlement scoured, the stars and stripes were planted. With every major American city retaken, Americans could look and see Old Glory flying once more. With his position secured, of course, Anderson had requested a meeting with his secretary in Chicago. Already his exploits had made him a national hero, and anyone who dared oppose or criticize him was shunned, executed, or worse. But Anderson was not stupid, and as Marine One touched down at Chicago, a squadron of other vertebrates carrying power-armored soldiers and Secret Service touched down as well. Now then, on to business. The American president. The meeting with the secretary went well, or about as well as anyone who suddenly found out what they thought was a joke now under their foot. Anderson made it clear he was the president, which the secretary and the others in Chicago's high command were to reform under Anderson's government out west. The sight of several soldiers in power armor and the Secret Service accompanying the president did help sway them. Afterwards, Anderson met with many of his citizens in Chicago, enjoying his well-earned reputation as a hero. However, he couldn't help but feel disdain for them. Out west, his enclave had fought with blood and sweat, clawing an existence out from the mutant menace. Yet here, Chicago's citizens lived lives of luxury or splendor. Perhaps they would need to learn a lesson or two and how to make sacrifices. But that would come in time. For now, he had joined himself in the trappings of victory. I told you there would be no election. Excellent. So is this thing still here? It still has the President Anderson thing there. I was wondering if that would go away or... But no, it at least for now, it appears to be staying there. Where was that whole... Yeah, right here. So, unless maybe some other things pop later. Gosh, I'm really annoyed I can't finish out this Navarro tree, though. I just feel like that would be fitting, sadly. It is what it is, though, I suppose. Alright. Well, there is still some Vault Area 51 stuff we can do. So I guess let's poke at that for now. Let's do Higgs Village. Once the residences of the big empty executives, we can repurpose the massive facility as clean and safe environment for our research staff. Sorry, I guess this is all big MT stuff. Not Area 51. This might be Area 51 stuff. The sciencey stuff, anyway. We have some vaults. We got some bases. Let's pop a couple more, since their days are all spread all over. That's a lot of bases going. And then let's pop 2 vaults. Vault 54 lies in the remains of Pierre, South Dakota. Pierre, I saw you somewhere, Pierre. There you are. Well, there's Fort Pierre. Pierre border post. I assume this must be Pierre right here. Sacred Cloud. I thought. That's why they haven't folded, because Carpenter's Retreat is still there. I thought I told that. All right, Vault 54, long abandoned in South Dakota. Mr. President, the Queen has happily informed us that the governorship of Moose Jaw has accepted the royal delegation of union, extending a hand in union and friendship. The Queen is expected to visit governorship in Moose Jaw capital and grant the title of provincial governor to Ulysses Everett as a sign of good faith and eventual prosperity. Canadian forces are beginning to distribute goods and conduct security patrols, Not requiring U.S. forces for the time being. What does this have to do with a vault? This doesn't seem to be the right link here. Amari Usk Admer. New Victoria annexes governorship of Moose Jaw. Where in the world is Moose Jaw? That's in Strato Commune. Not sure what that's all about. Maybe it'll become clear, but that does not seem to be the right text there. Vault 55. The unfinished Vault 55 rests in western Nebraska on what is known as the Last Redoubt, which we just took. Okay. Finishing Vault 55. 55 was one of the few vaults left unfinished before the bombs fell, leaving it ravaged to the tests of time. Or so we thought, as the construction crew for 55 managed to eke out an existence in Nebraska, forming what became known as the Last Redoubt. However, in the 200 years since the Great War, they've become nothing but mutants, and were rightfully exterminated, leaving us with a half-finished vault with a feral ghoul problem. Fortunately, we've gotten a lot of expertise not only in restoring and even upgrading vaults, but in clearing out feral ghouls as well. Combining the two might even be a fun exercise for our forces as we make our way into Nebraska.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk. Yeah, you can say that again.
Alright.
Yeah.
We need to take care of business on these guys.
Everything's always tighter
Push
out here
them
at
back.
Enclave.
Where are we at with some more cargo planes?
Yeah, that's a no one.
An additional 5 transport wings are required? Dear gosh, how many do you need? Alright, the Last Redoubt has been defeated. Alright, we have a base. Never forget our old enemy. Despite the growing threat in war with China, we never forgot our old adversary, the Soviet Union. Never to trust a communist. Ellsworth was the only base still conducting operations against our most hated foe. During the eve of the Great War, its bombers took off when we saw Soviet bombers and missiles coming at us from across the polar caps. We don't know if any made it, but we know that their gallant action in the face of certain destruction did not end in vain. For the Enclave in the United States has returned, and with it the stars and stripes fly over the base once again, now ready to strike at targets that would sully their legacy instead of a far-off dead. Freedom from the skies. Rapid City changes name to Ellsworth Air Force Base. You know, speaking of the Soviet Union, I'm sure there's some lore somewhere. I can't think of anything what the Russians were doing at the Great War. I'm not sure, actually. All right, so we just got 2 more transport gliders there. Here, I will actually build aircraft. I will build a few cargo planes because I think the game is trying to do so. I want to make sure I'm filling them out correctly. Okay. Because there's a couple here in the base. No, they're all filled out. So even if we looked at this one, yeah, they're being replaced by transport glider. So I don't know if maybe it might not be necessary, actually. Oh, that's why we keep having to upgrade them because I keep putting them back out there. That's okay. We'll get those transport wings. We'll get them.
Yeah, that's a no one. Why isn't your video feed working?
Oh.
Enclave here.
Y'all didn't cross the bridge. That's fine. It's not really
Enclave here.
Not really a big deal. They seem to be organized. First order of business was clearing out the feral ghoul problem. The darn mutants had broken into several of the unfinished areas, and demo teams were sent in to clear them out as standard procedure. However, when one infestation was squashed, they seemed to redouble their efforts in another, and when we sealed the area off, they doubled their efforts to take it back, it seemed. In a bizarre series of firefights, they seemed to be giving out power-armored troops the runaround, and nearly breached into where our engineers were setting up areas to finish the vault. We eventually had to deploy automated turrets and a whole company of power-armored soldiers into the vault to deal with the encroaching feral ghouls. Our officers and soldiers swore there was an intelligence to the whole matter, as if they were being toyed with. We've been quick to reprimand them that feral ghouls have no such comprehension, such as tactics. Yeah, I'm sure.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Darn it, they landed more of them. Broken Coast, I just want to get rid of you. Birthplace of the NCR Air Force. A former air reserve base on the outskirts of the Boneyard, the NCR repaired the base and brought it online and made it the center of, let's see, where is the Boneyard? There. Marking it the birthplace of the NCR Air Force, the same Air Force we promptly smashed when we took back California. Looking over the base, the expansion that the NCR undertook is sound, and the Air Force has decided to upgrade the base from an Air Reserve base to a full-fledged Air Force base. Another addition to our operations as we move east, especially with the Legion sitting across the Colorado, wink wink, with the base within range of aircraft. Alright, serves America once more. Woohoo!
Enclave here.
Come on, let's get down here. Let's get down here. Restoration work on 54. While 54 is worse for wear, it has nothing we haven't faced before. After getting the vault's main power system up and running, the vault was made livable again, given the climate, and our engineers and construction crews got to work restoring the vault. Sadly, one of the living quarters had a cave-in and will need to be excavated, which will delay the vault somewhat when compared to normal control vaults, but nothing our teams can't handle. Yeah, no problem. Not a big deal. Come on now. Sealing the tunnels. After several days of battling the feral ghouls, it seems that they were all coming from a breach in the Nebraska quarantine zone. Ah. Who knows how many hundreds of thousands of feral ghouls and mutants may live down here. Deciding that discretion is the better part of valor, the Army commander on the ground ordered several charges placed along the tunnels leading to the vault, as well as sounding equipment to detect where other potential breaches could be identified. While we will reprimand him for cowardice, it did end the delays on Vault 55 as the ghouls were becoming more and more of a problem. Automated turrets and sensors have been placed around the area to ensure that the ghouls stay on their side of the wall, whilst Colonel Callahan ensures that any mention of coordinated ghouls is covered up. And better news, the framing of the remainder of 55 is well on its way, with the ghoul problem handled and expected to proceed on schedule.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
I'm just gonna send troops on. Go, go, go.
This is Enclave main comm.
Faster the better, boys and girls.
Enclave here. Ah, that's a no one.
The faster the
Everything's
better.
always tighter out here at Enclave. Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave. Yeah. Enclave here.
Would love to go ahead and get get this war cleaned up before we finish here. Progress on 55. 55 is continuing on with much of the uncompleted portions of the vault having been built, as well as the spacious living accommodations for its new residents. Due to the nature of the vault and the Pharaoh ghouls on one side, the vault is being double-tasked as a military outpost in western Nebraska, and an army barracks is being set up along with several automated defenses to keep vigilant watch over the area just in case the ghouls somehow break through. Good, good.
Enclave
Excellent.
Here.
I don't even really care that they've broken a few soldiers that way. Northern NCR Air Force. Situated in the remains of Sacramento, California, McClellan Air Force Base was spared much of the bombs that devastated California, though the rioting that turned the former capital into Sacktown, and eventually Sac City, did not spare it. Hoping to gain access to the weapons that were stored on the base, various gangs fought control over the base from the remains of the Air Force, with the victor eventually forming the Nexus that became the 80s, the gang that struck terror from here to Utah. After the NCR restored the base, it became the headquarters of the northern branch of the NCR Air Force alongside Beale. Our fighting to secure the base from said NCR Air Force did see it damaged, and the Air Force worked hard to bring it back to working order. Now the stars and stripes wave over where the bear once tread, signaling yet another return of the Enclave. Home in the mountains. Sitting high in Idaho, Mountain Home was primarily a fighter base in the lead-up to the Great War, and became one of America's 2 fighter shields against Chinese air attacks during the Great War. Regardless, mountains that give it its namesake sheltered it from the war, though the intervening years did not. Crumbling infrastructure, scavenging from the surrounding locals, and the harsh climate made the base quite the effort to repair. Regardless, the base is operational and ready to receive fighters once again. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Ah, that's a no one. Damn. Enclave here.
Alright, we're cruising.
Ah, that's a no one. This is Enclave main com.
I know, since I just selected units to go storming through all weird, it's we're going to have some weird encirclements, but it's going to work. This war is just about over.
This is Enclave main com.
They're running out of troops. All the way down here to Sanctum Site X. Vault 54 has been fully restored. It did not have a text. It was just a placeholder, so something weird was going on with Vault 54, but not really a big deal. The new Higgs Village. Settled in an old hangar in the southwest of the facility, Higgs Village was a small cul-de-sac that the former executives of Big MT lived in. Searching their homes, it is clear they either went insane pre-war, or all this happened after the war. A few places were just downright disturbing for what we were supposed to be men and women of science. Regardless, we demolished the houses, repaired and sealed up the hangar, and renovated the interior with state-of-the-art apartments for the scientists and officers of the facility, given all the comforts of a vault to allow our citizens to live free of mutation in safe and modern environment. Already, more than a few have brought their families to the facility, bringing a sense of normalcy, and was once a crater of horrors. Red Mountain Research Facility State is now a core of the United States of America. Right on.
This is Enclave main com.
I'll always take some cores, right? Why not?
Ah, that's a no one.
Alright, so that'll be cleaned up. That's cleaned up.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk. Why isn't your video feed working?
Take Sioux Quarantine Center, please. Vault 55, finished and furnished. Work has been nearly completed on 55, with much of the life support and comforts being installed as we speak. All that is needed is actually a shipment of beds from out west, and they're on the way. The inclusion of the Army barracks to the vault also doubles as an experiment by the Army to see how our citizens react to living along soldiers for long periods. Of course, all our citizens support our troops, but often the realities of military life clash with the norms of society. The Army is looking at how 55 reacts to better deal with recruitment in the future. There is, of course, the elephant in the room, or rather outside the room. Seismic monitors have shown that the feral ghouls have attempted to break through into the vault. However, between them is, at the smallest point, a mile of rock, stone, and debris. It will be several decades before they even get close to the vault, and by then we'll be more than ready for them. All right. A new vault soon enough. Sure, sure.
Enclave here.
I see.
All right, let's take Site X.
Enclave here.
Oh, look at that. I got a whole army group just right here chilling. Well, perfect. I wish I had noticed that earlier, but it doesn't really matter. Hopefully when we take this sanctum here... Did they break? No. What about Sus... Oh, probably because they still have a capital here at Yanktown. That's alright. We'll take it back from them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's a no one.
Now we can call this whole war a day and see what kind of things we gain back from it.
I see.
Yeah, that's a no one.
Come on, give up. You got nothing left. Surrender. What are you waiting on? A complete Vault 55. The President was unable to visit the opening day of Vault 55 due to prior obligations. However, a week after opening day, he personally visited and apologized to the citizens of Soldier of 55 for his transgression. He was given a tour of the vault and even allowed a town hall, where he was given insight to the vault living a weekend, as well as hearing the concerns of the soldiers stationed there. Before he left, the overseer spoke to the President that several citizens had reported hearing voices in certain parts of the vaults, and that several were having nightmares. The President assured him that it was likely just nerves getting on people, and possibly the wartime jitters. Anderson did say, however, that the health department would look into it. And now 55 is fully restored, though that sounds a little suspicious,
Enclave
if you ask me, but it is what it is. What are they waiting on? We have literally taken every... We're about to take every tile. They have no villages, towns, or cities left. Why have they not capitulated? And just a delay of some kind. There it is. I was like, what in the world? Oh, we defeated Broken Coast? Oh, did we paratroop in? I guess we'll see once we if we have troops sitting there or not. I guess that'll mean, I guess we did paratroop in. All right. Nebraska, South Dakota has joined what they is on the way to being a fully restored America. Well, at least as much as we can without having the full mod, right? Or East Coast Reborn. Well, no, we didn't paratroop in. We must have just killed enough of them that they gave up. Well, how about that? Kind of strange. Did not expect that. So all that work with the stupid paratroopers and the boats and everything is a moot point. So, oh well. It's all good. It's all good. Just having a good time. But, alright. That was a nice little war. Now let's look and see. Oh, it does not look like we picked up any new vaults in that situation. What about bases? Yeah, looks like we picked up a couple army bases. I can't remember if those Air Force ones were already there. So by taking all that, we didn't pick up that much, just a little bit. Though, like I said, I suspect Colorado will have... I mean, look, there's a Vault 27 right there. I'm sure there's some forts and other things in there, no doubt. But looking forward to doing that. All right, gang, look. Another episode in the books. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of fun lore. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking and subscribing if you would. And, of course, leaving any comments if you have anything to say. Please do. I look forward to seeing you on the next one as we continue our reclamation of America. Until then, stay out of trouble. I appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.